So they're criminals when they attend, and they should be prosecuted.
Is Robert Gates himself worried about that?
I don't think they're worried at all, because nobody ever challenged them except for, well, they're worried a little bit more now because of the great Ron Paul in Congress.
Jim, about the wars, so many countries in the Middle East, dozens of them, have had protests and riots and coups and destabilization. Has Bilderberg been behind most or all of that, or what do you know?
It has been promoted, and of course, the President of the United States is always controlled by Bilderberg, and they have members, high officials of the White House attending the meetings for the purpose of getting their instructions. So yes, there's a big involvement. We've seen some dramatic departures, such as Bill Clinton, who attended Bilderberg as the obscure governor of Arkansas, is elected president the following year. George H.W. Bush had been a Trilateral Commission participant, and he had promised in his campaign for election not to raise taxes. He said he was in favor of the Taxpayer Bill of Rights, which has first been proposed by my publisher, and has since become law. Then Bilderberg ordered him to raise taxes. So he raised taxes and lost the election for breaking a very solemn campaign pledge. But Bill Clinton was right there. It is under Bill Clinton that NATO became the standing army of the world, of the United Nations. He invaded Kosovo. Clinton was the most bloody-handed draft dodger to ever disgrace the White House with his presence. And I've mentioned his good points. I've not gotten critical yet. So we attacked Kosovo, killed thousands of people. We have 0 casualties in that brief war. Americans love a brief war when we don't have any casualties. The reason we didn't have casualties is our planes flew so high out of range of the missiles on the ground that they could not target their bombs. So we bombed a bridge, killing a lot of school children on a school bus on the bridge. We bombed a McDonald's and killed some more. A lot of innocent, dead civilians, little children, mamas, daddies. And to go to bed each night with that blood on your hands, I don't see how they can do it, except the Bilderberg rationale for wars is we need the population control. They're now yelling that we'll run out of Earth in 30 years. We've got to control the population. Well, one way to control the population is for young men to die in wars.
Is Henry Kissinger ashamed or afraid that he has to skirt every country he visits and sneakily enter and exit all the time, given his age and acumen?
I suspect with his ego, he's proud of it. But he's a very affected character. One time, a few years ago, I walked up to him at some kind of reception and said, Dr. Kissinger, you remember the Bilderberg meeting, named the time, space, so forth, and this long white-haired guy said this to you, but I couldn't quite hear your answer. He said, that was a private meeting. Then he called himself, have to affect the German accent, that was a private meeting. Too late, though, I caught him on that. He's been here since he was 14 years old, fled Germany under when the Third Reich was being established. His brother, whom I've never met, but people who know him, says his brother speaks English like a native, but he affects that accent for some ego reason, and he's always been Dr. Kissinger. Well, David Rockefeller also has an economic doctorate from one of those snob schools, but he's Mr. Rockefeller. He's not Dr. Rockefeller.
Jim, can you talk about how long you've been covering Bilderberg, and what do you think about all the young patriots who are now confronting them wherever they go?
It's wonderful. I first started chasing them in 1975. Well, physically in about 1980. We had reporters working on it before, but I wasn't satisfied with their work, so I did it myself. I assigned myself to cover Bilderberg. Yes, it's gotten better every year because when I first started covering those kids, I'd be the only guy there. They always had a low-key story in the smallest local newspaper, preferably a weekly, in whatever town they were in, to explain that these nice guys are meeting, called to let the public understand that even though this place is sealed off behind armed guards, it's only good people doing good work. When Bilderberg has a meeting, there's a big publicized economic meeting of some sort with an easy plane ride, helicopter ride. So that's their cover story. They were in town that weekend for this big meeting of financial ministers. And then they came home. Well, before coming home, they go to Bilderberg on Friday night and leave on Monday morning. But that covers their butts as far as being out of Washington or out of Paris or whatever. I first started chasing them in 1975. Well, physically in about 1980. We had reporters working on it before, but I wasn't satisfied with their work, so I did it myself. I assigned myself to cover Bilderberg. Yes, it's gotten better every year because when I first started covering those kids, I'd be the only guy there. They always had a low-key story in the smallest local newspaper, preferably a weekly, in whatever town they were in, to explain that these nice guys are meeting, called to let the public understand that even though this place is sealed off behind armed guards, it's only good people doing good work. So I think it was at Helsinki. We had learned about the Bilderberg location quite early that year in November. Our subscribers in Europe, and there's very few of them, confidently because it costs so much to subscribe with the air mail and all the postage rates, long-distance postage rates. So there's a tendency for 10 people or 20 people to contribute to the subscription and then share the paper. And one of them wrote back, this is before the age of the internet, it was a matter of just regular mail service, a letter saying, should we alert the local media? Well, I kicked myself in the butt 15 times. I should have thought about that years ago. And the answer was yes. So it was a lot of fun. We got to the airport in Copenhagen, or I think it was, and they're getting off the airplane to jump in their long black limousines with the police escorts for an ego trip to the resort about 20 miles away, and some take the helicopter. But as they get off the plane to head for their limousines or helicopters, they're greeted by a throng of reporters, print reporters and broadcasters, lights flashing, and to see the terror in their eyes was just a lot of fun. How shocked they were to confront the media that way. And then it started making it big in the newspapers. I mean, top paper in Paris, the top papers in London had heavy and good stories raising the question, why are there these distinguished people having such a secret meeting? So in every year since then, our lasses in the circulation department would print out a list of all of our subscribers within a 200-mile radius, and they get a letter asking them to alert the local media about Bilderberg. And every year it gets bigger and better. More young people are becoming aware, older patriots too.
Can you also talk about two things that happened this year at the same time? The host country challenged their right to meet in the way they do, and yesterday they filmed actual members walking outside the grounds, which you say has never happened. Can you talk about those 2 points?
Yes, the walking outside the grounds, I think, for the first time ever. Always before, once they get behind the sawhorses and armed guards, they stay inside. They'd walk around on some grounds that are far, far away, but none where you could actually speak to them and they could hear you. I think they probably decided that we need to reassure, since we've had all this horrible publicity in big newspapers and little newspapers and big and little, small broadcasters giving such heavy attention, we better make some move. So we'll walk to this place and we'll smile at them. If they ask a question, if we could give them a sweetheart answer, we'll respond graciously. If not, we will be unable to hear the question and be sorry, maybe a little wave. So I think that was Another case of them, the big force, do something they would not normally do to confront the fact that there's such increasing public awareness that a lot of them are in great political danger for even being built. Already we've seen leading members of Congress used to always attend. The Speaker of the House, Representatives, ranking senators would attend. Now they don't dare because they get mail from their own constituents. Their own voters in their own congressional district are in their home state for the senators, saying if you do business with these criminals anymore, we'll never vote for you again. We'll vote for anybody else. And they've been politically frightened out of the ballgame. They're already long gone. And more, I think more are feeling very hesitant, very eager to cover their butts when they come to Bilderberg, like Secretary of Defense not being on the list when the Secretary of Defense always attends Bilderberg from the United States, along with the Secretary of Treasury, who's here, and Secretary of Commerce, other high officials of the administration. I'll tell you, I had the pleasure of talking to Kenneth Clark one time when he was in Washington. He thought he was going to hold a press conference to discuss, I forgot, some international issue. I'm there and I asked the first question. I said, Mr. Clark, you attended the Bilderberg meeting. I had notes in front of me, named the dates, the exact location, and the exact town and country on these dates. Can you tell us what transpired? The other reporters from the New York Times, of course, never heard of Bilderberg, but they're getting real interested in this. Kenneth Clark's face goes blank. He fumbles around a little bit. They started answering questions. I remember him saying, yes, we should have a world government. We will have, this goes back a few years, of course, when they were real optimistic. We will have a complete European Union, a common currency. Then we'll have the American Union, and your common currency will be the Mario. Then we'll have the Asian Pacific Union, and they'll have a common currency. And our grandchildren are going to laugh about the days when we had all these petty little currencies. We have to have a world government so we can have peace and all that jazz.
Must have been a fleeting visit for whoever is in that helicopter, because the conference only started officially this morning. Off it goes over the